All right, Sarah here. So this is an April 2025 tax update. Today technically is April 8th. And so I am just sharing this update, focusing predominantly on personal tax season. Of course, we are in April, but also sharing some updates and observations, I guess, in terms of our upcoming Canadian federal election. So with regards to personal taxes, back in January, I already shared all the deadlines, again, working towards that April 30th date for many of us. But at that time, we already had a sense that it was going to be a bit of a chaotic tax season, namely due to the potential capital gain inclusion rate changes and the deadlines extensions for T4, T5s, and then T3. So we already had an inkling that it was going to be pretty chaotic. But what we did not expect was just absence of information from CRA's platform. And just to provide some background here, we have gotten very used to CRA having a lot of the tax slips, the T4 to T3, T5, T5008, RRSP contributions and whatnot. So as taxpayers, we have definitely been spoiled over the last decade, I would say. And we, by this time, expect a lot of our information to be there. And so if you're using platforms like Wealthsimple or whatever other tax platform, you are using their autofill function to facilitate a lot of that data entry. Anyways, so let's say week 3 of March, week 4, April, week 1, after many refreshes and a lot of head scratches, it was very clear that something was going on. And finally, April 3rd is when CRA shared the update that, and this is where I find things just very ironic. They have been pushing everything online. Everything now needs to be filed online. You are penalized if you try to file paper. Anyway, so of course there has been this move, but it sounds like as a result of this move and as a result of a new validation process, a lot of financial institutions and employers are not able to upload the information to CRA's platform. And so therefore, as a taxpayer, you're noticing that those forms, which have already been submitted, T4, T5 deadlines was a long time ago. And so this information absolutely is prepared, but it is not showing up on CRA's platform. So that is the current predicament. It is absolutely a headache. But the bottom line at the end of the day, CRA maintains their same position as they always have, that it is the taxpayer's responsibility to ensure completeness and accuracy of the information they file. They do not accept the answer that, oh, well, I didn't find it on CRA's platform, or I didn't know I get these T3, T5 slips. They have never accepted that answer, actually. And so the risk is definitely a lot higher this season because understandably, a lot of people have grown accustomed to having that feature available. But in the absence of that feature, and there really is no resolution, right? We're already at April 8th. So to sit and wait for CRA to kind of get their IT act in order, I don't think is a good game plan. Rather, you are best to reach out to your employer or your various financial advisors and just double check what is applicable to you for tax purposes. Of course, with your employer, you're talking to them about your T4. But for financial advisors, if you have many investment accounts that are not tax advantage, so not a TFSA, not an RRSP, you have non-registered taxable investment accounts, then actually this is a huge headache for you. And it has been a huge headache actually to track down and just get those year-end tax packages, get those summary of capital gains, get the list that they actually share saying, hey, you are going to get T3 slips from these various funds, or you're going to get these T5 slips, or you've had these dispositions. So they, again, as your financial advisors, have this information and likely have it ready for you, just making sure you have the latest copy, the full copy, and you're using that to file. So I think it's a really big issue for this particular year. Again, filing for 2024 tax purposes and just making sure you have everything. So completeness as well as accuracy. Okay, page 2 of your income tax return. And if I can actually bring that over, I just kind of wanted to highlight 2 questions. One question we get every single year, so that's not anything new, but given our snap election, I just think it's, again, good to kind of note and make sure. Oh, no, what's that? Here on page 2, okay, so here again, saying yes or no to receiving information, say for Elections Canada. But of course, we know for this coming year, they have a snap election. It's April 28th. So whether you say yes or no, right, our 2024 election is underway. But the other interesting question is actually this one over here, which is new to 2024. And so just to kind of maybe answer some questions, if you say yes to this, you're not actually consenting to the donation itself. You're consenting to getting information in regards to donations. Okay, so by saying yes, you're not agreeing to actually donate or anything like that. So just maybe reducing any panic there. In terms of some key resources, so we are in the thick of personal tax season, so a lot of questions tend to come up around this time of the year. I just wanted to draw attention again to some recordings I've made over the last few weeks. Still getting used to it, still not loving technology in terms of the mic situation. And as you can see, I have not turned on my camera this time around. It just was far too challenging to do that. But anyway, some recordings in terms of how to fill out a checklist, how to actually do your own tax filing using programs like Wealthsimple, for example. Maybe you have very basic income tax situation, and so you want to file your own personal income taxes. This one is new. This was inspired after many questions I was getting, so I just created this walkthrough video of self-employed. So I go through 3 scenarios and sharing my opinion in terms of whether I think Wealthsimple does a good job for those who are self-employed and have to file the extra T2125. Also sharing again the toolkit where you'll find templates and trackers. So they're just really simple Excel spreadsheets that just help to stay organized, especially for income tax filing purposes. On to some more interesting. So we, of course, have our upcoming federal election, April 28th. There is a lot of information being shared. I cannot say I'm totally up to date at all. It's been very busy. But of course, you know, being a tax nerd, always interested in the tax policy proposals. And so I'm just trying to share a little bit of what I've observed. By no means am I endorsing any party. I think it's just really important to have all your research and information to hopefully make an informed decision as to what is best for you, of course. But from a tax perspective, this is what I've noticed. And this is purely as at, say, the date that I'm releasing this. And, you know, a lot of policies actually haven't been fully proposed yet. So as the weeks come, hopefully we get more and more information on the various platforms, on the various policies. But here, just from these different perspectives, so for a full tax reform, I thought, again, I was interested anyways in this one here, which is a full tax reform, which I've been saying since 2017, actually, that, you know, even as a tax practitioner, as a tax instructor, it has just gotten way too confusing, unnecessarily confusing. And integration was even being challenged at some point. So I think, you know, yes, I do absolutely think a tax reform is warranted. From an income tax perspective, all parties have demonstrated some really interesting policies. So with the Liberal and Conservative parties both approaching it from a tax bracket, so the rate itself for the federal income tax bracket for that first bracket being reduced, whereas the NDP has actually approached this from a tax credit perspective. So for every individual, you are all entitled to the basic personal amount. That is a credit base. So please, this is not the actual tax credit. This is not actual tax savings. It is purely a tax credit base being increased. Okay, and so the goal, of course, you see there the numbers is per taxpayer. In terms of the capital gain inclusion rate, I have been screaming about this since June of 2024. I have so many thoughts and I'm still quite angry about how it was all done. But the latest update. Anyways, we got an update back in January and we got another update very recently. Again, this policy was introduced in June or April, I'll say, April 2024 with an implementation date of June 2024 by the previous Trudeau government, but it has now since been canceled by Carney. So, and truly canceled because it actually never went into law. So it was still in a proposal phase. But again, the way it was written was that it was effective June 2024, even though it wasn't into law. And I'm still really angry about it because I really sympathize with individuals, taxpayers who actually sold a lot. Panic sell back in May, early June. Anyways, very unfortunate. So from the three different party perspective, again, we have the Liberals who have indeed canceled it. There was no word actually from the NDP side, my understanding, but the Conservatives have always voiced that they were going to cancel it if elected. But anyways, okay, so glad that's been dealt with. In terms of capital gain deferral, I thought it was just really interesting to hear this one. I would be interested to read more about it, but the spark notes here is that it's clear the Conservative governments are trying to think of ways to incentivize investors to keep their money in Canada. Many successful investors have put their money abroad, right? Especially the US over the last several years, and that's not new information. And so there are just some interesting proposals here to keep the money within Canada. This one being actually a capital gain deferral. So you sold the investment, but you don't actually have to recognize the capital gain, which again, hopefully keeping at that 50% inclusion rate if you reinvest that in Canadian businesses. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Would be interested to read more about that. As for the TFSA, we all love our tax-free savings account, of course. And so for 2024, we all know that, 2025, 7,000 is our contribution room for the TFSA. The Conservative Party have proposed an extra 5,000 top up if the investor invests in Canadian businesses, so in Canadian equity, which again is an interesting approach. So no word from the other two parties on that front, but again, we're still early, we still have a couple weeks, so we'll see if anything comes up from that. From a RIF perspective, so this is where you are converting your RRSP into a RIF. You become very popular with financial institutions around 68, 69 years old to transition that. And so the Liberal government has proposed a temporary 25% reduction with the minimum withdrawal for a 1-year period. The Conservatives have proposed actually a deferral of the withdrawal age. So at the age of 71, you are required to start withdrawing from the RIF. The withdrawal rate does increase as you age, of course. But here they're actually saying your clock doesn't start until 73, which is an interesting approach. No word from the NDP on this side of things just yet. From a sales tax perspective, some interesting observations as well. So with the Liberal government, they have proposed to eliminate the GST, HST on new home purchases under that 1 million mark for first-time home buyers. And we have already a lot of incentives for first-time home buyers, right? We have the RRSP first-time home buyer, which increased actually in November of 2024, I believe, to 60,000. So that was actually a huge bump. We have that as well as the FHSA. So there's, of course, a lot of support, trying to support anyways, these first-time home buyers through these various avenues. Now, the conservatives, it's too late, have taken a different approach where they're actually proposing to eliminate for all home buyers. So it might not be your first home, but if that home purchase is under a certain threshold, so 1.3 million, it sounds like, then they're actually going to provide that elimination for all purchasers, which I thought was interesting. For the NDP, they took a very different approach, so very interesting here. They're proposing to actually eliminate GST, HST on many daily essentials, so expanding that In terms of the carbon tax, of course, this has been a very big focus and a very big topic for the last little bit. So separating this from a consumer and industrial portion, with the Liberals, they have reduced the consumer portion effective actually April 1st of 2025. However, I think it's important to note that they've reduced it, right? So they've effectively reduced it to zero, but it's actually still law, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong here. And so I think it's important to note that because they can always then bring it back, right? If it's still in law, it's still around. With the industrial portion, it's still in place. With the NDP, they have proposed very similar, I feel, to the Liberals in the sense that they've proposed a reduction to the consumer portion only. So they're not looking to actually abolish the law, and they plan no change to the industrial portion. So to me, that sounds similar. For the conservative side, they'd actually want to truly abolish the law, so removing it from law for both the consumer and industrial portion. So I think there's quite a bit of a difference here. Anyway, so that's all I was able to observe. Again, I haven't been able to keep as much of a pulse as I'd like. It's been very, very busy. But if you're interested, we have a link here in terms of a policy tracker that I think is quite interesting to monitor. So you can bookmark that and keep that as a reference. My last two topics here, I know I'm always talking way too long. Budget. So the federal budget actually tends to be released around this time, which is always a bit of a headache because it's tax season, but at the same time, there might be some very important tax legislation proposed. But even though it's normally released around this time of the year, of course, we're going through a snap election. So no word of any new federal budget. They did just conclude their pre-budget consultation. So if you partook in that, thank you. But my total guess would be we're probably not going to hear anything for quite a while, at the earliest, maybe Q3. And so we'll see what's in store for us. In terms of what's in store for here at SCL, so hopefully we will successfully wrap up tax season soon. And with that in mind, I am looking forward to sharing more resources and other ideas to help kind of fuel that entrepreneurial spirit, because as we know here in Canada, this is a really big focus. This has been dwindling over the last few years, and it's very unfortunate to see. So keeping that entrepreneurial spirit up, what are some ideas, what are some resources, what are some tips to share? And so hopefully able to dedicate more time to that and sharing that. With that said, just some reminders again, I am away April 16th to May 2nd. And so hoping to wrap up tax season very soon. And again, these recordings are more for educational purposes. So please just make sure that you do your own research or you reach out if there are any specific questions. All right. Thank you.